We're breaking down one clip from Major League Pickleball Atlanta, which there's 17 things that I noticed in this clip. We're gonna watch the clip all the way through one time, then I'm gonna slowly break down all 17 things that I noticed, and then we'll finally watch it one more time at the end. And just so we see all the players, we got Andre Diescu up in the top left, Zane Navratil top right, Riley Newman in the white on the left, and then Christian Alshon on the bottom right, okay? So we got Diescu with the serve. This is the first thing I noticed, a deep return. All right, a deep return caused Diescu to do one thing, which was step back and take his third shot drop from, this looks like maybe 2, 3, 4 feet behind the baseline. That's huge, right? If you hit returns, and I do this still all the time, if you hit returns that land closer to the midcourt where your opponent is moving in to take the third shot, the third shot's gonna be just a lot easier. It's kind of like a basketball player. The closer they are to the basket, the higher percentage they make. The farther away they get, the lower percentage. So if you think of the kitchen line like the basketball hoop, you wanna push your opponent farther away from the line or the hoop in order to create more of a challenge on their shot, okay? So a really nice drop here by Diescu. Then here's the second thing I'll notice, which is fourth shot pressure by Alshon, okay? So it's a really good drop by Diescu. All right, Alshon gets up to the kitchen line. Let's go slow-mo here. Now, what a lot of people do, and it's common, is you allow your opponent to just walk to the kitchen line, the most optimal position that you can be in on the court, without having to hit a fifth shot or a seventh shot or a ninth shot. So after Diescu hits this third, I like how Alshon backs off slightly, he's on balance. Put your eyes to Diescu for a second. He's still coming in the transition zone. Alshon speeds the ball up because the ball bounced pretty high, lofty ball. Alshon hits it right into the middle. This is a good spot for the speed up. Looked like Diescu may have been thinking Alshon was going wide, but he reaches out and he stretches. It's a very defensive position. The point could have ended right here, truthfully. Diescu hits a really nice, and it's number 3, an impressive reset. All right, what makes it impressive? One, the fact that he was a little bit stretched out, can't be offensive in that position. And two, the fact that it bounces in the kitchen and it's not very high is a really nice shot. That's number 3. Here's number 4, Ernie pressure by Alshon. Watch it again. So after he hits it down the line, he goes into Ernie pressure, and now he doesn't get it, but this is still a good thing that you can do because it applies pressure psychologically to your opponents. When they see you go there, oftentimes they'll think, well, oh gosh, or they'll see your movement and it will cause an error. So again, the point could have ended right here, but Zane's a good player here in the top right in the orange, and he hits the ball to a spot that Christian Alshon can't hit the Ernie. Okay? So clearly, look at the positioning here between, this is gonna lead us to number 5, the positioning between Alshon and Newman. Look how they're pinching, almost creating this V between Newman, Alshon, and Zane. They're applying a lot of pressure to Zane right here. When you're playing your matches, this is a good position to be in. If you get really tight and close, like think about a close talker. No one wants to have a close talker in their face, like give me some space. It's a similar principle here. When you close in on one player in this V formation, you create a lot of pressure for the one player on the other side who has to handle that. So Zane's smart, he's one of the best players in the world. He recognizes and he moves the dink, which is number 5, out wide in order to go to space, right? Look how much space there is over on the left side of the court. Let's get a little graphic on the left side of the court. It might go a little bit too much though and creates an ATP opportunity. Now, Riley Newman, bottom left, he primarily hits a two-handed backhand. I think he actually only hits a two-handed backhand. And the 6th thing here, which is really impressive, is what I just call elite footwork. Okay, so look at this footwork. He gets on balance, hits a wide stance, and what you notice is he actually gets really wide and adds some torque. I've never seen him quite hit it like this, but he adds some torque. Look at that. Gets an even wider base in order to wrap the ball around and create some left to right spin. And so that's number 6. Number 7 is ATP defense. Now, in many of the matches that you're playing, if someone hits an ATP, you can answer for yourself. Is it point over or does the point typically continue? My guess is most of the time the point's over. Change your mindset. As this ball's going, one thing Zane could be saying is watch it. He can recognize before anybody, I'm gonna hit, this dink is probably going wider than I anticipated. And when he says that, or Diescu just recognizes that, The two things to do here for Deskew are 1, drop diagonal, and then 2, drop your paddle, okay? So look what he does. He drops diagonal, and he doesn't drop, not super diagonal. We're gonna see another example later in the point. Right, but he drops diagonal a little bit. Don't just go horizontal. You need to create more time and more space in order to react to that ball that's coming from only 14 feet away. So a really nice job here by Deskew, gets one back. And then that'll lead us to number 8, which is the ATP offense rotation, meaning Riley Newman hits it. We just talked about the defense, but how about Christian Alshon? Let's highlight Christian Alshon here. Just put your focus on Christian in the bottom right. Watch, as the ATP goes, he slides over, slides over, slides over. One of the most common places for an ATP defensive shot to go is right back up the line, right where Christian's standing. So Deskew does a pretty good job here. He actually gets it over to Alshon's forehand, which is not typically where the ball goes. However, I would actually suggest, and it's a shot I'm thinking about and working on, is if you get into an ATP defensive situation, to defend the ball back cross court. Look how much space is over there on the right side cross court, a lot, right? So that would be a good place to go. They get into a hands battle, boom, 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 boom. Now that is gonna be number 9 right there, which is Alshon. Take all your attention to Christian Alshon here. Alshon gets into the hands battle. Newman comes back, tight compact swing. And in this moment, number 9 is height recognition reset. In this moment, Zane is able to get the ball down. Boom, look where Alshon's paddle is. Don't get offensive there. If he gets offensive there, Zane's gonna put that ball away or Deskew's gonna put that ball away. And he's a little bit on his back foot here, so the recognition's really good that he recognizes, I can't get offensive, so I'll get defensive, and he hits a very impressive reset. The point could have ended here very easily as well, okay? Over to Deskew, which then leads us to number 10, which we've talked about once in this point already, is Ernie pressure by Riley. Anytime you see someone get pulled out wide, you see just gets a little Ernie pressure, okay? Which is really good by Newman. You should do that more to throw off your opponent. Now, let's go to number 11, which is, this is subtle, right? But it's just leaning in and taking the dink out of the air. Deskew gets pulled really far out wide. Alshon stays strong on the kitchen line, takes the dink out of the air, and look what he does. He pushes Deskew off the line by, say, I don't know, 2 or 3 feet. The point could very easily end right here. Often when someone gets pushed off 2 or 3 feet, they pop up a dink and the point's over. But not Deskew here. He hits a good ball. All right, and that'll lead us to number 12, which is a focused Deskew on the net cord. Focused Deskew. Okay. When the ball hits a net cord, we often freeze and our brain goes crazy, but he stays locked in here. Ball hits the net cord, it trickles over. Sure, he has time, and that'll lead us to number 13, which is, again, ATP defense. You'll notice here that Newman, more than Deskew in the first one, he drops diagonal. Look how far back he gets. I mean, he's just trying to survive in this moment, especially on a net cord like this. 9 times out of 10, that's point over. Gets his paddle down, drops diagonal, gets his paddle down, ball goes up. And then this will lead us to number 14, which is court positioning after the ATP defense. Boom, lob, do not stay up there. Often what happens is the person that hit the ball that led to the ATP, so in this situation, it's Alshon. Keep your eyes focused on Alshon for a second. Often Alshon in this situation, and I'm speaking about all players, not necessarily him, they'll just stay up there at the kitchen line. So after this defense, they'll then get crushed by the ball. I love what he does though. Really strong court positioning here. Ball goes up. They both get back because they know, look at that. Don't stay up there and take an overhead. Move back, all right? Then that leads to number 15, which is a mini sky lob, okay? I have a whole video on sky lobs. When you're in the defensive, oftentimes it's a good idea to get a sky lob up into the air so you have time, more time, to regain your positioning within the point so that you can ultimately either hit a ball hard to get back up to the kitchen or drop a ball to get back up to the kitchen. Okay, then we go 16. This is just a fun one. It's a little tomahawk by Zane. This is one of Zane's shots. I think he created it. He's probably the best at it. It's essentially where you turn your hand over and you hit the ball like this versus hitting a ball like this. Maybe he could have even slid over and hit it overhead, but he goes a little mini tomahawk. I just wanted to recognize it because it's a shot that he loves. Now, right here, Newman gets a pretty good ball that he can potentially drop. He does, but it's high, okay? And because it bounces high, it gives Zane an opportunity to potentially hit downward on the ball, okay? And the last one, number 17, is Zane's inside out forehand drop. You have to understand what set up this inside drop. They're in a staggered position. Newman's back. He's one of the most athletic guys in pickleball, and he doesn't have enough time to get up there because of what? Zane's footwork. He takes a big inside out shift in his footwork. Looks like he's gonna hit the ball really hard. Because of his big movements, that's usually something, if someone makes big movements, they usually hit the ball hard next. Makes big movements, takes a big backswing. And that big backswing is just a way to deceive Riley Newman here. And then he hits a little inside out, puts some spin on it. And because of those things, the footwork and the backswing, Newman doesn't start moving forward because he doesn't know what type of shot Zane's gonna hit. Zane doesn't hit that shot or give that tell until the very last moment. And by that time, there's not enough time for Newman to get up there. Boom. That's beautiful. Let's just watch the whole thing one more time. This is amazing pickleball. It's so easy to miss these things. I may have even missed some things. In fact, if I did miss some things, go into the comments below and tell me something that you noticed that I didn't talk about. Pickleball's amazing. What an amazing match this was. And let's just enjoy it. That is a clip breakdown. It was one clip and it was 17 things that I noticed in that clip. If you want more film breakdowns, you can click this video right here and let's go deeper on more pickleball stuff because I like going deep. You like going deep. Pickleball's the best.